Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk about Black History Month. The month that is a celebration of my people, because I am a black man and everything. And it's about all our accomplishments, all the oppression that we have gone through over like centuries of living in like America and stuff like that. So I'm here today to talk to you about Ultimate Avengers 2 Rise of the Panther. This movie was the second one to come out of the MAF. That stands for Marvel Animated Features. This is back before the days of the MCU when Marvel was putting out animation like movies of their superhero properties. And this was the second one to ever come out. It came out in 2006 and it was screenwritten by Craig Cowell and produced by him along with Stan Lee and a few others. There's a whole bunch of directors, some names I'm not even gonna get into. And so for those unfamiliar with this, because you can't find it on Disney Plus for some bizarre reasons, these were a series of DVDs that came out in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, if you say. And they were, well, not all of them were good. Some were pretty like mediocre, but some were extremely good. And this one is very good. The second movie to the Ultimate Avengers, the first one revolved around Captain America. The second one still revolved around Captain America, but now introducing the Black Panther and telling his story. I was very shocked and surprised they did this because I really wasn't expecting them to center the movie around Wakanda and that of T'Challa. It would have been better they would have gave him his own solo movie and everything, similar to how they did Wolverine, Thor, Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man, but hey, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, the interesting thing about these movies is that when it comes to these movies, they were inspired by that of the Ultimate comic books, pretty much going page by page, but adapting it for a small screen. This movie is very short. It's about 73 minutes and stuff. But like it has enough goodness in it to keep you very, very, very entertained. And the most interesting thing about this movie is that if you ever read the Ultimate comic books and when it has to do with Black Panther and Wakanda, then you will know that pretty much it is completely different than what this movie is completely different than what you will see in the comics. And that is because at that time, Marvel's being Marvel and everything and could care less about a black superhero. The Black Panther and Wakanda was never featured in the Ultimate comic books at that time. So Craig and his team had to come up with like all new designs and like, what Wakanda would look like in the Ultimate universe and stuff like that. And I think they did a pretty good job, but I don't know. It's just like sometimes it's just kind of like, they didn't have to go so tribal and everything. But what's really shocking? That the Ultimate comic books came out in 2000. This movie came out in 2006. And with that whole 6-year span, well, actually 7, actually, because, that whole 7-year span, they never introduced the Black Panther. And I'm just kind of like, that is a slap in the face. People of all races love Black Panther, especially black people and stuff. And, he was the second black superhero in comic books and stuff. Well, the mainstream, that is, because, Lion Man was the first. And, it's just a disservice that they don't think about other races. They don't think about other cultures. They just think about what they know best. And that's like all the white superheroes and stuff. And it's quite a shame. And I wish they would stop thinking that way, because when it does come to black superheroes in Marvel, it takes forever for their projects to come out. It took forever for the Black Panther movie to come out. It took forever for the sequel to come out. And they could have made the sequel before Chadwick died, but it took them so long because, they were working on like the Avengers movies, and they was working on like, Captain Marvel. But they could have had, the director of the first Black Panther movie do his own thing on like the side, and it still took them forever to come out with the sequel. And then of course there's Into the Spider-Verse, which they didn't even want to bring Miles into live action. Then when they made the first movie, it took them forever to make the second one because apparently they had way more animation in the second one than the first. They wanted to be so unique. And it just takes forever for these black properties to ever, see the light of day. But this second movie is extremely good. It takes, in the first Ultimate Avengers movie, like I said before, it centered around Captain America and like his origin story. And it was extremely well done. In fact, when it comes to these animated movies, the MCU heavily copied what they did and infused it into their cinematic universe. And so the second movie, like I said before, still revolves around that of Captain America. But it also now introduces T'Challa, and it gives his backstory. And his backstory has always been altered depending on who writes his material. And in this version, he is the Prince of Wakanda. His father is very much still alive and still acting as the Black Panther. And this Black Panther costume is very unique and different. It's all black, and it has kind of like a almost green beige looking gauntlet claws, and the claws can shoot out like projectiles. It has that same color to its belt with the Panther logo to it. It is sleeveless. This is the first time I ever saw Black Panther like that. And his mask is that of a cow. It shows that of his mouth and stuff. And what's interesting about this version of Black Panther is somehow they can call on the powers of a panther, to where somehow they will morph, their face will morph into that of an actual panther. It's never explained, but it's just a cool effect. And it's something I kind of wish that, they would do in the MCU, just to change things up a little bit. And so his father is operating as both king and the Black Panther. Now, when it comes to designs, they went old school Africa, very tribal and stuff. It doesn't look anything like the MCU. There's no fancy buildings. There's no fancy technology. It's very old school Africa, with people wearing loincloths and everything as clothing. They use spears and bows and arrows as weapons and stuff. They do not have high-tech technology whatsoever. It's very, very, very old school. But of course, their weapons are made out of vibranium. And in this origin, a meteorite hit thousands of years ago, and it landed in Wakanda. And it's basically the heart of Wakanda, and their main building for the royal family is on top of this giant mountain that goes underground that's made of vibranium. And that's what they make all their weapons out of and stuff like that. Now, T'Challa, his father sent him off to America to attend school so that he will learn to better be a king and understand the world outside of Africa. The elders do not like this whatsoever, and they literally forbidden it, but his father wanted him to do it anyway. And so when he came back, the movie starts off with him coming back, and my bad. And so he's back from college, and people are welcoming him and stuff like that. Now the people of Wakanda, instead of a tattoo inside their mouth to show who they are, they have paw prints all around their body. So next thing you know, his father has to fight like a bad guy. The Shatari are back. That's the aliens that the Ultimate Avengers fought in the first movie, and the same ones they fought in the MCU. But they're different here. Here they are extremely tough to take down as opposed to the one in the MCU, and their bodies are made out of vibranium. And so with this creature just roaming in the, like, the jungle and stuff, T'Chaka, he goes after the creature. T'Challa wants to go with him, but he doesn't want him to. Now, in this version, there is no Shuri, and there is no, those warrior women and stuff. This is way before they was ever created. And so his father, suits up and he goes to fight, this, alien thing. It turns out to be Kaiser, a person we saw in a flashback in the first movie. Everybody thought he was dead, but he was that super Shatari that infiltrated that shield facility in the first movie. But people didn't know that at the time. And so he fights. Well, first the Black Panther fights a couple of the aliens, and he's able to rip through them easily, which is very shocking because not much can harm them and stuff, as we saw in the first movie. Thor can rip through them, the Hulk can bust through them, and that's about it. And just vibranium in general. And so the Black Panther, he's able to do it, but then when Kaiser and his son shows up, Kaiser ends up killing him, and his son watches it. And it's one of the most heartbreaking scenes ever. So now they have to do the funeral, and his son has to take over the mantle. Kind of similar to what happened in the MCU with his father dying in that explosion, and him going after the person who killed his father. And him, assuming the throne and stuff like that. So he is out on a manhunt for Kaiser, but he's not sure if he's ready to be king, but he knows he wants revenge. It's in his heart. So he needs somebody who has fought Kaiser before. And when he's looking through the archives, he sees that Captain America is still alive. So this makes him go to America against the wishes of the elders, because he doesn't even tell them. Over in America, we see Captain America, and he's going through the motions. He's fighting some Hydra agents because they kidnapped some SHIELD technicians and stuff. And it's a very brutal fight. It's very there's a scene with acid in the truck and people in there, and yeah, this is a very bloody movie, which is funny because they don't show blood in the MCU. And so as he's fighting these bad guys, he's having flashbacks of World War II and fighting Kaiser and stuff. And so after that, some SHIELD agents along with Black Widow, one who actually has a Russian accent, comes in to help save him and stuff. And she sees that he is going through some stuff. He's moody, he's irritable, he doesn't want to be around people. This is very much different from the first movie. It turns out that he feels like he cheated death, that all his friends died in the war, and those that survive are either old or dying now. And he feels like a man out of place in time. And so because of that, he just doesn't want to be part of no other team that could end up dying and stuff like that. Now, let me point out that this Black Panther is voiced by Jeffrey D. Sams. And so when he's sleeping his place in SHIELD facility, the Black Panther is there, and he attacks, and Captain America attacks him. They fight a little bit, and it's a really cool scene, him sliding down the building and stuff like that. And so next thing you know, Fury comes in, and of course this is the Black Fury because they modeled him after Samuel L. Jackson when they did the Ultimate comic books. And so he lets them know, his father is dead and he needs help fighting Kaiser. He wants information, but Captain America wants to go to Wakanda. Now, it is forbidden for outsiders to go to Wakanda. They're just not allowed. And he tells them that, and he tells them he sought their advice and nothing more. And so when Fury's all yo, let me send in the Avengers, he won't let him, and then so he leaves. And so Fury, of course, assembles the Avengers anyway. And so we get to see the Avengers and stuff and what they've been up to. Iron Man is like, hiking in like the snowy mountains. Hank and Wasp. Hank is very moody in this movie for some reason. He's just very angry and pissed off and wants to go bigger and bigger. And Janet tells him, you can't go that big because you can hurt yourself and stuff. And you know how in the comics they had problems with their marriage and everything. The Hulk, Bruce Banner, is incarcerated because he took the super serum formula, hulked out, and then went nuts and tried to destroy everybody. And the Avengers had to take him down, along with taking down the Chitauri and everything. And he's being tortured by this one scientist who doesn't like him, voiced by Mark Hamill of all people. And it's really interesting to see Bruce Banner like this. I kind of wish they would do something like that in the MCU, but they have messed the Hulk up in the MCU to where he's nothing but a joke now. And Thor, he's in, I don't know where he's at. I think he's somewhere on Earth. He is sidelined for most of this entire movie, similar to how he was in the first. And he's doing a ritual where he sees the death of the Avengers. This is similar to the second Avenger movie in the live action. And so he asks his father for help and all this other stuff. And his father's like, nope, people of Earth had turned their backs on the gods and he doesn't want nothing to do with them. But Thor's all like, screw that. I'm going to help them anyways. And so he is just completely silent for the rest of this movie. So we see the Avengers and they go out to Wakanda. Now, it's not like the MCU where it's like a cloak. Anybody can just go there. And so they're like fanning out and everything and they're discovered. So they have to fight the people of Wakanda. And so it's a really cool fight. And Iron Man thinks, oh, they just got spears. That ain't gonna hurt me. And he ends up getting his butt whooped by like the spears and this ramming like tree type thing, because what he doesn't understand is that this stuff has been infused with vibranium. Now, when it comes to the first movie, they've mentioned the word vibranium and everything and how the Chitauri are susceptible to it. And so but they never mentioned Wakanda. I always figured they was gonna get to it at some point, and they did with this movie and stuff. But the people of Wakanda don't even call it vibranium. It's just the people of America that calls it that. And so I forget what it is. I think Captain America went off by himself and found the Black Panther. Yeah, and so him and the Black Panther, they talked, and T'Challa explains to him, how the meteorite fell down and how, his great-grandfather or something like one of his ancestors met with the Chitauri trying to make peace, but all they wanted was war, and how they crafted, the vibranium into, weapons and stuff like that. After that, Captain America's found out by T'Challa's, personal assistant, right? And because, the Avengers got, discovered. Well, as they're fighting, Hank gets shot with a bunch of arrows. And it's weird seeing the arrows go into, his costume. Even some into his head. But you gotta remember, he's giant size at this point. Because he's Giant Man. And Hank is, pretty much, Ant-Man in, the classic comics. And so, it's just weird seeing these things stick out his body like needles and stuff. Like acupuncture and stuff like that. But the tips are poison and he passes out. So next thing you know, T'Challa comes in, tells him he'll give him the antidote, but y'all gotta leave now because they're not supposed to be there. And so as they're leaving and everything, of course, the elders are pissed at T'Challa. But as the Avengers are leaving, Captain America does not want to leave. And so, he's looking, through, a scanner type thing. And he sees a Chitauri just wandering around the jungle. So he goes down there in a stealth ship by himself, disobeying orders because he's now been demoted and Black Widow is now in charge. And so, when he goes down there, T'Challa, he's arguing with, the elders and stuff like that. And they have stripped him of the power of being king and everything. And so he's no longer in charge and they are. And then he sees the Chitauri and then he suits up. Now that's a very weird scene because we see him in his regular clothes and then one split second later he's like has his full costume on. It's not like the MCU where it just comes on in a flash of light and nanoprobes and stuff. This is one you have to literally suit up in because it's just regular fabric. And so we see him fighting like a Chitauri and Captain America's there and he asks for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s help. So they put the creature back on the stealth ship. But it turns out to be a ruse. It's actually a Chitauri. No, it's actually the Kleiser and everything. The super soldier. Because he has the ability to shapeshift and stuff. So he messes up like the Quinjet and basically makes it explode. And Iron Man is smart enough to put like a force field around like his friends and trying to hold on, but it's hard because his suit is badly damaged from the fight with the Wakandians and stuff. And so Black Panther, the real one, is watching as the Quinjet just explodes. But in the nick of time, Thor was able to save them and stuff. And so after all that, like Wasp got shot by like one of the Chitauris and stuff because they have like laser weapons built into their body. And so Hank is really pissed off at Captain America at this point, talking about it's all your fault. And now he's starting to feel bad about how he treats Janet all the time because he almost lost his wife. But it's a funny scene when him and Janet are arguing. And Black Widow tries to hand to Janet one of her guns to take Hank out. I'm like, oh my God. You'll never see that in the MCU. And so, like, you know, everybody's trying to recuperate and everything. Captain America's feeling crappy about himself. Iron Man goes to his like Hall of Armor where he suits up into the War Machine armor. Now there has been no depiction of Rhodey, so I'm assuming the War Machine armor was just like his that he built. And since there's no Rhodey's not there to like take it from him and stuff. And it's really interesting to see him in the War Machine armor, but it's nice to see him in something different because the suit that he wears is a modified version of the Ultimate suit in the comics, because the Ultimate suit in the comics has a weird color scheme. It's orange and silver, and the design is completely different than what everybody know and love. And so, the Chitauri are now attacking Wakanda. They want something. What they want is the meteorite. They want their vibranium back because it's theirs. So they wage attack on Africa. The Black Panther tells the elders, you know, they're fighting pretty good and everything, but their weapons are no match for the advanced like weaponry of like the aliens and stuff. So T'Challa tells them, screw you, I'm suiting up. And we need help from like the outsiders and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Because the Avengers show up again. And so, like, you know, this was a pretty cool battle. Thor is finally there. He's kicking behind. Like, Iron Man's doing his best with his weaponry, but it's not helping because it's hard to pierce the skin of these aliens. But back at S.H.I.E.L.D., Bruce Banner has now figured out why a section of the hull of the Chitauri ship crumbled and everything. There's no other piece that did it. And when that scientist made him review the video over and over and over again, he realized it's the Hulk, because the Hulk generates gamma radiation and vibranium absorbs it and everything. And at first he was unable to tell anybody this because of the simple fact that scientists kept gassing him. But the Chitauri are one step ahead, so they send assassins to go and kill that of Bruce Banner. And so the scientists do, you know, Bruce already told Betty this and she told Fury, so now they made weapons out of vibranium. And so like, they can't get into the glass-proof like shielding that has the Hulk in there because it's designed to keep the Hulk in. So they make the scientists do gas him. And then they kill the scientist dude. Well, after Betty sees all this and everything, you know, Wasp wakes up and helps, like, you know, she goes inside and basically blows him up from inside. And so like, they free Bruce and, you know, Betty tells him just to Hulk up and everything. Well, at some point in time, he does finally wake up, hulks up and starts beating up some of the aliens, but we don't get to see much of a fight with him. He is sidelined from this movie as well. After he's done fighting them, he just runs off and hides and everything because Betty doesn't want him to be like a prisoner of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. Because even though they've been broken up for years, she still cares for him. The battle in Wakanda is very cool with the Avengers and the Wakandians and the Chitauri. And so they have to take out the mothership because the mothership put a force field around Earth. And so while Captain America and Black Panther are having their vengeance on Kaiser and everything, the other Avengers are trying to deal with the Chitauri. So Iron Man and Hank, they go inside the mothership and they try to destroy like the core, like, engine and everything. They're able to do it, but it causes a huge explosion with them in it, and it knocks both of them unconscious. Hank took the most blunt force of the explosion, and when they came crashing down to the ground, Hank dies on screen. And I was like, holy crap, they killed Giant Man. They went there. Iron Man is completely unconscious, and Thor is able to resuscitate him with his axe and everything. Thor, oh my god, Thor got his butt kicked so bad by those aliens. He just got blasted one time and was taken out. It reminded me of Superman from the Justice League cartoon series in the first season when Superman constantly got his butt kicked. So the death of Hank really has a toll on Janet, and she wonders how she'll move on in life without him and stuff. Well, there's a huge battle between the Black Panther and that of Kaiser and Captain America. They just can't take him down, especially when he's in his full form. And he's too tough to take down because he is literally a super soldier. So they decide to encase his body in vibranium because in this unrefined state, you can make anything out of it. So they they put him in a chamber and they put down the liquid of vibranium, and he's literally stuck in a giant box of it. And then they bury him underground. After this, he thanks the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything like that. And then of course we get a memorial service for that of Hank. And Thor is really sad until Fury's able to cheer him up with a pint of beer and some other stuff. But this was a very tragic, movie. So many people died in this thing, man. Way more than you ever see in the MCU. And this movie, these animated movies always had heart. They always had a rawness to it. And I miss these movies and their animation so much. Their animation is so rich. So much better than what the MCU, Marvel, and Disney are doing right now with the animation division. Now, let me make some minor corrections. So I said they used vibranium weapons to take down the aliens. No, that was the first movie. They used a gamma generator to make the Chitauri brittle. And then, let's see, Hank did take the blast of the explosion, and he had Iron Man in his hand, but Iron Man got out and hit his device to make him shrink, and then he lowered him to the ground, and Hank died on screen. And then Iron Man got messed up because the mothership was falling towards the city and he had to deflect it, and then he came crashing down with it. All right, everything else is right. Happy Black History Month, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye.